First topic today is not a college basketball topic, but every now and then something happens that we care enough about to go off script. That's what we're going to do today. And it was mentioned in the comment section. So if you listen to that, you know what's coming. Carlos Alcaraz, Carlitos, my favorite athlete on the planet in any sport right now, comes back from two sets down to world number one, Jannik Sinner, to win the French Open, Roland Garros in a tiebreak. 10-2 was the fifth set tiebreaker final score here. This was the best tennis match, I think, ever. I'm okay saying that. I want to get your input. Obviously, I'm not going to act like you've watched tennis your entire life, but I don't think you needed to. I think that was what was beautiful about this match, as someone who has watched tennis since I was little, is that this got people watching this sport that I love so much in a way I don't think it's ever been talked about since like the late 2000s. Really, no disrespect to Djokovic's dominance and Federer's longevity and Nadal. You have to go back to like 2008 for a match that captivated the casual viewer the way that this one did. And this one did not captivate because of storylines or I don't even think people thought of this as a rivalry coming into it. It captivated people because of how high level the match was. It was absurd. That is the highest level match I've ever seen from start to finish. Sinner was unreal. And Sinner, I don't think really let up. He got tentative a little bit when Carlos started waking up. But like, man, Carlos took that. And the tiebreak was just a level of dominance I've never seen from any athlete, let alone from a tennis player. So you were watching this. You had just left my house, but I know you were watching it because we were texting almost after every big point, which was like every point in this match. What was your reaction to the French Open final?
First of all, vamos. I can't believe we got through this whole thing without hitting. The vamos hits like actual crack into the veins. But no, I think the big point that you made is like I'm a casual tennis fan. I recently got into it a little bit more because obviously you kind of turned me on to it. Um there was a point that I still remember. I think it was a little bit after COVID where you're like, Cart, you need to like tap into tennis, right? And it was Nick Kyrgios who were telling me to watch. Like, you would like this guy. He talks shit. It's great. Sorry for my language too, by the way. I've really been trying to watch that. But it's a tennis player you can relate to, and that kind of just got me watching more tennis in general. And then this Spanish dude comes along, and he's just a killer. You're talking about you called him. I think there's a tweet from like 3 years ago where you're like, just so you know, like this kid is going to be the next up. He's the GOAT, like the GOAT level of sport. He's a LeBron level prospect for the sport. And I mean, to me, even as a casual fan, that was one of the best sporting events I've ever watched. And I'm not even that big of a tennis guy. Like I said, I'm a casual tennis fan, but the high level just I don't know. Do you call it shot making in tennis?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
Like, dog, this was just both guys back and forth, back and forth. And then Alcaraz's back is against the wall and he pulls off what he pulled off. And then they go back, and then Jannik had to answer even when his back was against the wall. And he breaks Lito's back. And like the shot making in this was so special that I think even people who weren't tennis fans watched this, and like it was a spiritual, emotional experience.
Yeah, I think there are times where like in an individualized sport like this that the loser almost like can't believe what just happened. And if you listen to Yannick after this match, they make everybody talk. The second place person has to get the microphone and speak to the crowd after at these majors. And he was stunned. He was just like you almost felt awful for him. But it's hard to feel awful for him because let's be clear about what he's doing right now. What Yannick Sinner is doing to tennis, obviously excluding Carlos, is basically what Scotty Scheffler is doing to golf. Like Jannik is dominating this entire sport, full of all these up and comers and veterans. Everybody, there are great tennis players in this sport right now. Novak Djokovic is still here. Dog, Novak was in the semi against Jannik, and it looked like an elementary school kid playing. He had no hope against Jannik. And I understand Novak's not his best right now. That's not meant to be a Novak shot. But Jannik makes everybody on tour look silly just by being too good and too solid. He doesn't make mistakes, and nobody's best stuff is good enough to keep up with Jannik's everyday stuff, except for one man from Spain. Except for
What
that man.
the little
That
Spaniard
boy.
that could, the little Spaniard that could.
Dog, and it's such a fascinating dynamic. We were talking, you know, a sporting event is good when our Scrapple basketball group chat gets into it because this sport or that group chat will span all sports. Right, we're watching college softball sometimes, but this chat was locked in on tennis in a way I just never seen it.
No,
And
like not to cut you off, the world was low key locked in on this tennis match.
yeah, as it should be. Yeah.
Everyone, like I was in the same situation where I'm in a group chat. I swear to God, they've never talked about tennis ever, and like people who have never watched sport came in there like this is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it is hard. There's a second topic coming that's almost also tennis adjacent because of more thoughts I have on this. But like it truly I think even in previous great tennis matches I've seen, they're great because of the drama and the stakes. Tennis is a sport where you can go from, looking like you're going to win a match like Jannik was to just completely falling apart in 5 seconds and you lose it mentally, you lose it emotionally. Nobody lost it in this match, right? Jannik got close to winning it and then lost it, but he didn't lose it. He didn't slip it. Like he was still the shots that he was making in the final set to break back against Carlos after already blowing this. Like it was absurd. It was truly absurd. It was two giants going at it, and it is the most fascinating individual dynamic. I guess we can now call it a rivalry. But I truly I don't even feel like this is a rivalry. This isn't Federer and Nadal. It might end up being Federer and Nadal if we get 15 years of this. But this is a 23-year-old kid versus a 22-year-old kid that are just scratching the surface of what they are and will be, who seemingly have zero animosity towards each other. I think these two would go vacation together. Like I don't think there's a rivalry. There's just a mutual respect. And it's the most fascinating dynamic because what I alluded to is so true. Yannick is the only one of these two that's untouchable to the rest of the tour. As much as it pains me to say, I think Carlos is the better tennis player, will have the better legacy. He will be my GOAT when all is said and done. Carlos is vulnerable to everybody else on tour. I've seen it. I don't know why. Any given match, Carlos could lose. Sinner isn't. Sinner can't lose to anybody except for one guy. And right now, we're now off of this, and I said it coming into the match, but Carlos has beaten him 5 straight times. And do you know how frustrating it would be? I cannot think of a replicable situation in sports. Find me a situation like this in sports where one guy is so dominant to the entire field, but sees one person and just can't beat him.
Especially this one. Like he had him.
He had him.
He had him.
And it's not the yips, right? Like it is not like Sinner didn't do enough to win this match.
Carlos took it. He did
right.
it.
And I don't, it makes it so captivating because you wonder like what's going to happen to Jannik from here. Is he going to be able to mentally recover from this? I would assume he will because that man's a robot and he seems unfazed by all of this. Um, it's probably going to continue where Jannik will win every other event on tour that Carlos shows up at 80% for, and then we'll meet again in a couple weeks for the next major. But like, situationally, it's unlike anything I've ever seen. It would be like if Pat Mahomes can't beat Josh Allen, right? Or like,
Yeah.
I guess Carlos should be the Mahomes, but it doesn't make any sense for the guy who's technically the number one to struggle with number two like this. And here we are. I don't know, but it's crazy.
I almost had tears in my eyes watching that.
It's crazy. It sounds weird. I genuinely enjoy Alcaraz wins, like a major win, more than I enjoy any team event right now. It's crazy.
Really, like even like Michigan basketball.
The highs of today were as high as any Michigan basketball win, other than the Trey Burke win for me.
That's crazy, but like also like I understand that.
Yeah, I don't get it's. I've never felt this way about a tennis player. That's the cool thing.
Like I honestly, I'm kind of. I mean, I probably can do it, but like I want to watch that again.
I'm gonna fire it up in bed tonight for real. It's
Like
crazy.
it's the highlights. Like it's you got to.
Yeah. I'm just excited. That's just us word vomiting about how great that was. But go watch it if you didn't. It was phenomenal. And Vamos. Good job, Carlos. I got Murph to hit go Carlos at the end of it. It was great.
Yeah, vamos.
You like that move?
Yeah.